Tonight on Paige's Kitchen, we're making a fabulous appetizer. Now, this is the time of year when unexpected guests show up. These are things that you can have in your refrigerator, ready to go to make a wonderful appetizer at just a minute's notice. All right, we're only using 3 ingredients today. First is puff pastry. When you buy your puff pastry, look for one that has the word all butter written on it. That's important because it really will puff up really nicely and has great flavor. We're also using an olive tapenade, which is basically just olives chopped up with some olive oil, some different spices and pimentos added in there. And then we're using feta cheese. Again, this is crumbled feta cheese, but like in a lot of my other recipes, if you're not a fan of feta cheese, feel free to go ahead and substitute it for maybe gorgonzola cheese would be fantastic, or goat cheese would also be a great substitution. So let's get started. I'm using a pastry mat to roll this out on. You don't have to have one of those, but it makes things just a little bit easier. The important thing is when you're working with puff pastry, thaw it in the refrigerator the night before, okay? Don't try to thaw it on the countertop because it will get too soft. So I just like to keep a roll of this in the refrigerator that's already been thawed. The rest you keep in the freezer. It gets soft really quickly, so you want to move fast. Don't try to do this while you're on social media or you're doing anything else. This is one of those recipes where you need to pay attention right then. So I'm only going to roll it out a little bit. I've got my pad down here with a tiny bit of flour on there. But as you can see, this right now is not too soft. So I'm just going to give it a quick little roll just to help flatten those edges out just a little bit. All right, the first thing that we're going to do is put down the olives. We're just putting them right down on here. I'm going to smooth those out. Take them down to the edge. Now take a look at your tapenade, and if it looks like there's a lot of oil in it, go ahead and put a paper towel over it and blot some of that oil out. You don't want your dough to be too oily. You've already got all the delicious butter in there. This is a French pastry. A lot of people call them pig's ears or elephant ears. You may have seen called that. It's Palmiers. I don't speak French, as you can tell. I looked online trying to get the best pronunciation I could, and no matter what I did, it still had a West Virginia twang. So after about 10 minutes, I just gave up. So if you speak French, I wish you were here with me now. Okay, we're going to smooth all this out. Again, we're trying to move quickly. And then when you put your cheese on here, you're going to just kind of lightly sprinkle it over, and then we're going to press it down a little bit to make sure that it stays in there. Some of these pieces of cheese are kind of big, so I'm going to break those up. Don't want anything too big. We're going to bake this at 400 degrees for about 18 minutes. If there were other ingredients that you wanted to put in here, maybe a roasted red pepper, or something else like that, you could do that too. So now we're going to roll it up. One of the important things now is make sure that you have a really good sharp knife. So I've got this knife here ready to go. So we're going to just fold the edges over, and we're going to roll this up as tightly as you can, and we're just going to meet in the middle. And if this seems too soft when you get done, you can go ahead and put your baking tray into the freezer for about 10 minutes to chill it back up again. As you can see how quickly this dough really gets soft. So we're going to meet both of these in the middle. Again, trying to keep it as tightly rolled as we can. This is an easy thing to do actually for people who are wanting to try to start baking, but I know baking can be a little intimidating sometimes if you're not used to it. So this looks really soft to me right now. So I'm going to put this in the freezer. It'll make it easier for me to slice when it comes out. So I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, this dough's been in the freezer now for about 10 minutes. As you can see, it's a lot easier to handle now. It's very important that you use a really sharp knife. This knife has actually been in my family. This was my great-grandmother's. Jack keeps it sharpened, and it will do the trick. So I'm going to cut these about a ½ inch apart. As you can see, it makes that nice little roll. We're going to put them on a parchment lined baking sheet. And again, work quickly. And this will bake, again, at 400, which is typical for puff pastry, for About 18 minutes. Just keep a watch on it. That's the hard thing sometimes about baking, especially during the holidays. It's very easy to get distracted. And then you start doing other things, and then you're like, wait a minute, what is that I smell? And then you realize it's something you left in the oven while you're doing something else. So when you're baking, try to stay on task. This is perfect if you have, it's a savory appetizer. So if you have, I think we get sometimes overloaded with sweets this time of the year, and this is a really nice alternative. I know you might be thinking, well, you really can't have too many pieces of fudge or cookies at Christmas, but actually you really can. Sometimes you just want a break. This is a nice presentation too, so that it'll look like that you spent a lot of time in the kitchen when you did not. As you can see, this will make a dozen. Actually, +1. This little end here is kind of sad, so I'll be throwing that one away. Open up this edges here. So now you have one extra. That could be for the cook. Nobody will know. All right, let's put these in the oven now. 400 degrees, 18 minutes, and we'll see how they turn out. Okay, these have baked for 18 minutes now. Oh, they look so pretty. And they're sizzling hot. So as you can see how the pastry puffed up really nicely. I'm going to let these cool on the pan for about 5 minutes or so. You don't want to move them initially right in the beginning because they are really hot and they're soft. So let these cool on here for about 5 minutes or so, and then they'll be ready to serve. Okay, these have had a chance to cool off. Once again, use a cooling rack so that way they don't start to sweat on the bottom and get soggy. So they're nice and crisp now. They're still warm. I know you can do this. You're going to love it. So will your family and friends.